From Metta World Peace emerging as an unlikely hero for the Lakers to the LeBron-led madness in 2016, these are some NBA playoff moments that fans will never forget. Starting off with D. Rose saving the day for the city of Chicago. How can anyone ever forget this? Sure, it may not have led to the Bulls winning the series, but that end to Game 3 was probably the best moment Chicago fans witnessed since the late 90s. And it was even more satisfying when Rose, of all people, rose up to the occasion, sealing that fantastic win. That insane shot was just not expected. Yet, after all the injuries and the difficult journey back to the court, when the lights were the brightest against the Cleveland Cavaliers in the 2011 Eastern Conference semifinals, D. Rose delivered the buzzer beater with the scores tied at the end of regulation. He's a Chicago guy through and through, and talk to anyone in Chicago about that series, they'll be sad about not going through, but that moment is sure to light up anyone's face. It's also mostly remembered for the fact that it spawned one of the greatest memes ever. But the great thing about the NBA playoffs is that anyone can be a hero, and Metta World Peace, formerly known as Ron Artest, is remembered fondly by the Laker Nation. Why? Well, it's simple. Who could ever forget those heroics in Game 7 of the 2010 NBA Finals by Peace? One of the loveliest subplots that no one saw coming, and that's what makes it beautiful, doesn't it? Kobe Bryant was double-teamed and would never have been able to get a shot away, so he passed it to Peace. He hesitated in the calmest manner ever to shrug off the defender and launched one from the right wing. Mike Breen yelling "bang" to signal that the championship had been delivered is something that most fans will never, ever forget. Oh, and of course, Metta World Peace blowing kisses to the fans right after that moment. He was known for being a defender, but his jumper will forever be remembered because of this brilliant moment. After all, if you want to be remembered as a Laker legend, you gotta have a moment against the Celtics. Peace definitely had his. Recently, looking back at that moment, the 43-year-old explained how it was the biggest of his career. No surprises there, but talking about the biggest and the greatest moments of players in their careers, how can I not mention Kevin Durant's best moment ever? His words, not mine. And sorry, LeBron fans, but don't worry. The King makes a couple of entries, at least, on this list too. However, talking about memorable moments from the playoffs, this has to be up there as one of the best ever. Durant's three-pointer, that too, over his idol that sealed his first NBA title. No wonder it's his favorite moment ever. But it's also a moment that fans in general won't forget. Of course, none of us will ever experience something like that, but in the moment, it felt like KD was living it for all of us. Game 3 of the 2017 NBA Finals, LeBron James had his arm outstretched, wanting to get a whisker on that ball. But no chance, Bron. That one was destined to go in the net. KD describes it as a passing of the torch moment. And sure, LeBron may not be done just yet, but it wouldn't change that KD practically lived his dream. Heck, I'd even say it was too perfect to be a dream, because who can even imagine that happening? But all that matters is he lived it. While this KD moment might be a little too special for the player himself, Dame's first playoff series ending buzzer beater was something that everyone in the Rip City crowd experienced. And what an insane moment it was. The Blazers hadn't won a series in 14 seasons entering the playoffs that year, and Damian Lillard had only been a Blazer for 2 seasons. Yet, he still decided to put an end to that embarrassing streak. With under a second left on the clock, Dame ran towards the inbound pass, squared up his shoulders, and drained a 3, which sent the James Harden-led Rockets home. Now, Houston did have a foul to give, but there was no way in hell they were ever catching Lillard there. He was elusive running in, and the way he makes that shot, it was all so dramatic. The Rip City crowd went berserk, as you'd expect them to, and after all the disappointments and heartbreaks, they finally had their very own postseason performer. Did anyone just say postseason performer? Well, how about the biggest postseason performer? At least of this century. Yep, I'm talking about LeBron James, the man with 10 NBA Finals under his belt. But this LeBron moment came in the Eastern Conference Finals, not the NBA Finals. It was the year 2012. LeBron was actually nicknamed LeChoker because he can't win a ring. I also can't believe that there was this narrative at one point, but it's true. Of course, the way he bottled the 2011 NBA Finals, he deserved some of that criticism. But the way he turned the tables on his haters on the 7th of June 2012 is something that no one will ever forget. Not LeBron fans, and definitely not LeBron haters, especially the ones in Boston. After all, the Celtics had the perfect chance to knock LeBron's Miami Heat out in Game 6. And what does LeBron do when facing elimination? He drops 45 points on 19 of 26 shooting to win the game in Boston and lead the Heat to the title that year and begin his championship quest, which he still isn't done with, by the way. The thing about superstars is that they rise when the lights are brightest, like LeBron did, and like Kawhi did when he sent the 76ers home in 2019. The most important question when people look back at that match winner is, will we ever see that kind of emotion from the robot that Kawhi Leonard is? Probably not. Will we see a moment like that ever again? Probably not. This was a shot that should never even have left Kawhi's fingers in time. This was not a shot. It was a prayer. A 21-foot prayer. It shouldn't have crossed one of the greatest defensive centers of the modern era. But then, if it did all that, it shouldn't have teased the entire world as it held its breath. It should not have hit every inch of the rim before finally dropping in, but it did. That said, it was a coming-of-age moment for Kawhi. After all, he had witnessed a game winner from the best, and possibly the worst seat in the house not too long ago, against the Miami Heat in 2013. This moment, very much like the Kawhi moment, was just unbelievable. The Heat lost that game at least a dozen times that night, and they definitely won it a couple of times right at the end too. But when LeBron missed that chance to level it, even the most pessimistic Spurs fan would tell you that the game was over. Luckily, Chris Bosh grabbed the rebound and played the ball out to Ray Allen in the corner. And unlike Kawhi's 21-foot prayer, Allen knew exactly what he wanted from that shot. He drilled it in to force overtime, and the Heat never looked back, forcing a Game 7 and the championship from the most impossible scenario. The only losers that night were the handful of fans who had exited the arena earlier, thinking the Heat had lost, and then couldn't get in when they realized the game had gone to overtime. But as great a moment as that was, there was too much going on in the 2016 NBA Finals to not put that as number one. Specifically, LeBron's had many moments. Many moments in the playoffs. More than probably any other player in NBA history. But the moment when he asked a reporter, "Klay said what?" might just be the most iconic, because it fueled LeBron's fury as he responded with two 41-point displays in Games 5 and 6 to force the decider. Then he delivered the block. The chase down block on a layup that Andre Iguodala could have bet his house on to make, which ended up being so brutal that the Warriors wouldn't score a point again. And of course, the small matter of Kyrie Irving hitting the game winner. That's all I have on the NBA playoff moments fans will never forget.